Howdy, folks. Welcome, one and all. I'm going to be doing a little bit of why is my camera backward? Hang on a second, folks. Let me just fix this. There we go. That's more like it. And now let me do a little comment here. My old welcome, folks. And we're good to go. How's everybody doing out there? Let me set everything up here, do the final adjustments, and I'm going to have to back the camera up because it's too close. But, well, anyway, you guys can see what I'm doing. Thanks all for joining me. I'm finalizing the last of the insulation here. Cut it all the other day, so all I need to do is just put them on. By the way, it's a beautiful day today. Relaxing. A lot of these things I just approximate. It's not a big deal. Just make sure that it all fits nice and snug. The drywall is going to go on top of it. And now things like this, where they're a little loose, I basically take a piece and cut a wedge. Or two. As long as it holds until the drywall gets here. No, until I put the drywall in here. It'll still be a while, but whatever. Grab my ladder in a second, because I gotta do the top parts. Get all this out of the way so I can put this one in there. But let's continue with these next. Dog is out having a blast outside. Again, a lot of this stuff is very approximate. Because I'll get close afterwards. Now, if I had a CNC machine to cut all these pieces, that'd be fantastic. But I don't. Actually, I do, but they're all stocked away. It's all good. Next one. And if you guys saw how nice the weather is here right now, it's just fantastic. The weather is fantastic. Big difference from just a few weeks ago when I was working in blazing heat. Yeah, that works out well. All right, got to do the bottom one. So how's everybody doing out there? Check the comments every now and then, as I always do. Hey, Dave, good to see you. Appreciate the thumbs up. Just relaxing here. Putting in the, well, as you see, the last of the insulation. Well, let me rephrase that. The last of the wall insulation. My next step is going to be finishing the soffits and installing the lights at the same time. That way I don't have to go back and it's more difficult with the wires. So I'm going to cut the holes, pull the wires through, and pop in the puck lights all along the outside. And the reason I have to do that next, that's the last of the interior. But the reason I have to do that next is because I'm putting in a bunch of baffles because I'm putting blown-in insulation. So after the drywall is up, all the insulation gets blown in. You don't want that stuff to go all the way to the edges. The soffit has it's basically ventilated, and the air comes in through convection. The hot air rises, goes out through the tops of the vents, and keeps the attic relatively cool, thus saving me money on electricity, because the hotter the attic gets, the hotter the house gets, the more I have to cool, the more electricity I have to spend. And so the vents, the open vents all along the eaves of the house is where the air comes in, and it gets basically directed to the top of the roof, to the ridge vents. In my case, the off-ridge vents. On a hip roof, many times, you have so little peaks, so little room for peaks that you can't put ridge vents, or you shouldn't. You put off-ridge vents, which are big, huge vents just below it. But anyway, the air should go freely through there. The baffles are on the on the walls, basically, and they run along the top cords, along the trusses. So there's a space in between about 3.5 inches where from the soffit you've got a channel to pull air through to the top, at least all around the edges, because you don't want the, like I said earlier, you don't want the insulation, the blown insulation, just blocking all the soffits. Funny how they designed them. Well, how I designed these things. Well, they designed it. They came up with the concept. I just used it. So that's it. All my ridge vents are down here in my soffits, so I'm gonna eventually get to that. But for now, let's continue with our wonderful insulation. Got my knife. anybody has any questions at all, by all means, feel free to ask. I have to trim the top of this, but let's see how much. Just so you know what I'm doing here. When I originally formed this wall, I put I put a piece of plywood and everything. And as sometimes happens when you pour in concrete, and I nailed the heck out of it, some of the nails didn't take, and there's a little bit of a blowout of about 1/2 inch to 1 inch on the wall. So in order to compensate, rather than chipping the entire area, which would take days, I just added, rather than 1 furring strip, I put 2 furring strips. So the wall, this particular wall, which is, only 30 feet long, is got a nice big gap. It also serves to give me enough space to run the cables and everything for the outlets. Because as it is, it's difficult to run. That's why you got to buy these thin boxes on exterior concrete block structures. The interior of the exterior wall, it's difficult. So I gave myself plenty of space. There are a couple of cables, as you can, well, maybe you can or cannot see. You probably cannot see them, but down here that are run, unfortunately, they run right over that thick part of the wall. So I have to cut a little hole in the insulation to accommodate for that. And by the way, on all the exterior walls, that are only 3/4 of an inch thick, this insulation is 3/4 of an inch thick, and the furring strips are 3/4 of an inch thick. So in between the furring strips, that's where I have all the rest of the insulation on the other walls. And whenever there's a line that crosses, or a plumbing line or an electrical line, I have to basically cut a channel, because I can't place it over that or the wall would bulge out. And there's your explanation somewhere. See how close I came. By the way, all the little areas that get spray foam, that is what I call close. Yeah. This wall basically can't take insulation here because, well, it could, but I'm going to have to cut a little wider because the blocks themselves is preventing me from putting insulation. So, time to cut out. Entire piece. Again, I don't really feel like chipping away at the wall. And I've got the drywall and everything else, so I'm not worried about a little bit of insulation here or there. Yeah, how's everybody doing out there? Let me do the old. Seeing what everybody's saying. Hey, Dave, good to see you. Dave Krause. So what I'll probably end up doing here is just putting a small sheet of the the other installation, the foil. That'll work. Again, the drywall, we're leaving it out and hold it all back. As long as it's, not bulging out like that little section was. Oh, boy. All right. That'll do. All right. Let's do the top, shall we? Time to yank out the ladder again. No yanking out. It's always available because I'm always planning. So I remember where I left it last. Oh yeah, over there. Of course. Hey, so far so good. Let's move the camera to the other one, to the other side. Move on down to the other side. You can still see it from here, but I'd rather just put the camera closer so you guys can have a better view. Before we do that one, we got to do this one. Okay, one down. Again, the trick is to get close. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. There we go. Okay, I got them all cut, and I gotta glue them on. As soon as I find where I left the glue gun, or I should say a cotton gun, with an adhesive glue. It's around here somewhere. Got it. How's everybody doing out there, folks? Y'all doing good? Uh, One little piece left. Well, no, we got the top part. So let's get the top part taken care of. See how close we are. Okay. Okay, folks, one little piece on the bottom and we're done. With this section, I've got a few more other sections I'll lead you through, little tiny areas that I didn't finish. Go all around now and check. Let's go around and check out the place, shall we? There's a few little spots here and there that we didn't account for. There's one down there. We'll fill that in now. Let's see what we got here. Holy cow. Sometimes you get really lucky. It's not tall enough. Let's do a taller one. We didn't account for the fact that this keeps slipping down. Let's try this again, shall we? Okay, folks, we covered that one up pretty well. Let's see what's next. That one's good. That one's good. Up top, we're missing up top. Ladder time. All right. Always get an extra piece for. Always have an extra piece in my pocket for jamming stuff in there. Okay. Next. Hey, Russ, how's it going? Good to see you. I'm just filling in the last of the, I did all the easy stuff. Sometimes I do the hard stuff first. Sometimes I do the easy stuff first. This time I did both. I started with the really tough stuff, and then I did the easy stuff, and now I got the last little tidbits, which I've already cut the pieces, but I haven't put them on yet because they involve climbing up on a ladder, and that's always a pain in the butt, even though I do it daily. Sometimes you get a really good fit. This is one of those times. And as always, I have my little I cut little pieces to jam in here, just so it doesn't, fall out before I put the drywall on. Nice little thin piece. Next, such a cool day and I'm sweating. That's no fun, right? Okay, When they move the ladder, then I'll move the camera. Make sure there's no hammer on top of the ladder before I lift it up. The usual checks. I haven't been hit on the head with a hammer, but there's a reason for that. Because I always check. Well, a couple of times, I'll be honest with you, I didn't check. And there was a hammer, which is very irresponsible of me, and it fell to the side, thank goodness. But, okay. Here we go again. Then after this, I'm going to basically do some major cleanup. Picking stuff up everywhere. See if it fits any better this way. Nope. It does not. All right. Thing about this foam, while you're cutting it and everything, it's just so incredibly dusty. And every now and then, sometimes it cuts smooth as butter, and it's not the knife. Sometimes it finds so many bubbles and it jams the knife, and it tears like now. What are you gonna do? Okay, let's see what happens. Glad I had my glasses on and my mouth closed. Because as I went poof, it went poof. Okay. Next. And I think this is the last. No, might be. We'll see if it's the last one or not. I'll beat a jug of that. And then there's some minor things. In fact, I should take care of those now. Like on the edge there. I'm gonna need a thin one. I'll be right back. A long, thin one. Got a few laying around. Perfect example. This one cut really smoothly. That last one did not. Still needs a hair more. pieces of that everywhere. Let's see if I can knock this in. There we go. Perfect. Now, okay, next. Yeah, we got those bottom pieces there, but I'm not gonna really mess with that. I don't really care about that. I'll just hit it with foam and have a nice day. All righty, there's the top one there. There's a lesson everybody should know when you're cutting stuff. Do not put your hand under the knife. You know, I just, the more you know. Damn it, I need that piece. Okay, we got everything here full. We need that little tiny thin piece. Well, just so happens we got a thin piece. May not be as thin as we want it, but and again, it may be perfect. Look at that. Sometimes, folks, I would say sometimes, but the fact is, when you're doing so many of these cuts, you're bound to get a few. You know, you're bound to get a few. All we need is one more piece for the bottom. next? Oh, we got that piece up there. That's a big one. We're going to actually have to measure that because we haven't cut this one yet. Up and down on that ladder would have put you in traction. Yeah, I hear you. It's no fun. I'll tell you that much. Hang on, let me move the camera over here so I can get in with the ladder. But it's funny what we all get used to, you know? Because when you're sitting around doing nothing all day, climbing one flight of stairs is exhausting. I went to my 40th reunion the other day. And they got a new building. It's beautiful. And there's these stairs. Everybody was climbing the stairs. I sprinted up the stairs. I wasn't even out of breath. Because this is what I'm doing all day. So, something to be said for just doing the same thing repetitively, you know? Let's see. I need to cut. I'm going to measure this because I'm going to cut one big piece and just, you know, work it out from there. If I can find my measuring tape. There it is. Half, half, 18 and a half, 18 and a half. It's square, 39 3/4 by 18 and a half. Let's do it. Give me a second, folks. I'm almost finished. Making a little cut. One more cut left. And off we go. see how close I came, huh? Pretty darn close. Done. Next. Okay, let's check this wall. This is fine. That's fine. That's going to get some insulation of some sort. Okay, this one's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Alrighty. Let's see what else we got. We're missing anything here? No, that's all good. Oh, look at that. I got a whole wall that I completely missed. The R values are 5. That's just the, it's Florida. We don't need really much R value for anything, but it's always good to, that's always good. Yeah, it's called 4.1. Actually, the R value per inch is 5. This is 4.1 because it's 3/4 of an inch. That's why they call it 4.1 rigid foam. This is going to be a pain. All right, let's do this one. So, yeah, the R value of this is, I don't want to say negligible because it's now, you take it to the fact that the mass and the R value of the concrete factors into the energy calculations. So there's that. because this isn't a wood frame house. If it was a wood frame house, I'd be putting, let's see, 2x6 would be R23, I believe. But I got roughly the equivalent. I'm putting in R38, which anything above R30 is overkill, but I'm putting in R38 in the ceiling because I like overkill. You know, it's all a balancing act. You know, you figure how much energy are you actually going to save? And I'm talking air conditioning, electric costs, and heating costs. Heating doesn't apply here in South Florida. We got maybe 10, 15 days that are in the 30s. The rest of the days are 50, 60. The mass of the house during the day will keep it, will not allow that much of a variation in temperature. Unless you're talking, you know. I went to Phoenix, Arizona, and they got a temperature swing from 110, 115 in the day in the summer to 23, 15 degrees at night. That's nuts. I mean, well, it's not nuts. That's the way it is. It's nature. But here we're talking maybe a 20-degree difference, maybe, and that's pushing between day and night. If we have a sunny day, like about this time of year, right now it's probably 75 outside, 75, 80, 75 or 80. If a cold snap hits, we'll go down to 58, 55 in one day. Very rare that we'll hit 30, but even if we do, that's one day. That's the exception. But most days, it's 80 to 50. It's 20 degrees, and then the next day it'll be 75, and then it'll go down to 55, and, you know, at night or whatever. At most of the time, it's just a 10-degree difference. When you take into account that the excuse me, I had dust from the insulation dust. When you take into account that the concrete walls, solid concrete, you're talking the mass coefficient there is just off the charts. So during the day, if it's cold at night, it'll take a long time for it to heat up. So you're not going to you're not going to gain much heat. Whereas if it's already warm in the day, at dusk, and it's going to chill overnight, the walls will keep it warm. So the walls act like one heck of a buffer. More than insulation, it's mass. It's not preventing it, but it's absorbing it and redistributing it. It's basically, it becomes a power bank for a thermal power bank, a thermal bank, whatever. As far as the insulation on the ceiling, you know, like I said, R30, especially with my vented things, is enough to keep any heat from penetrating, seriously penetrating. I got low E windows, so the double pane. So we're talking whatever temperature is in the house, it's going to maintain very well, which means the AC is not going to work too hard to keep it cool. In theory, We'll find out when I get there. In theory. It is all theory. So like I said, we'll see what happens. But the R value of this thing, like I said, is somewhat negligible. This is an extra. They didn't have these in the houses when I was growing up. They didn't have this insulation yet. My house is 5 concrete houses in Florida. So that's interesting. So yeah, it's quite an interesting conundrum, issue, problem, or whatever you want to call it. That's how I do my insulation. I mark the 2 sides and then I do one of these. Just tweak. And there we go. Now how do we go again? Now I got to do the side because the side's a little too thick. What I did for the bulk of this house is I cut a whole bunch of pieces of the insulation at 14 1/4, which is roughly, if it was exact, it's 14 1/2. You know, 16 inches on center, most of these, 16 inches on center, and they're 1 1/2 inches thick. So 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch from the center lines, and you got 1 1/2 inches. Take away 1 1/2 inches from 16, that leaves 14 1/2. So theoretically, there should be 14 1/2 inches from here to here. Wood swells. Wood is thicker. It's not exactly inch and a half. Sometimes it's an inch and 3/8. No, sometimes it's an inch and an inch and 3/8. Which, bottom line is sometimes it's an inch and a quarter. So I just put it to 14 and a quarter inches. I take off a quarter inch. And then again, I got to tweak it because sometimes, and the nailing pattern sometimes is not perfect. I put these on relatively quickly because they don't call it rough carpentry for nothing. It's rough. It should be straight, and but if I were to pay attention to every single stud being perfectly plumb and level to 100th of a degree, I'd still be doing the floor. So there's something to be said for, that's where the drywall and all the other stuff and textured ceilings and all that stuff comes in. It's all the adornments to cover up the slight imperfections of a job. And that's every house ever. I do not know a single house that is 100% perfect in its dimensions, unless it was. I was going to say unless it was built by a large titanium printer, with millions or thousandths of an inch accuracy. But even so, the metal swells. That with moisture, the wood moves as much as from one end of the house to another can move as much as half an inch. Metal, there's a reason why railroad tracks have separations built in. If not, they'd all be woo when on a hot day. Well, so, and some of them still are. And so I'm telling you, there are safeguards in place, or in order to cover that stuff up. Let's get this fixed. Nope, two. It's good here. Let's try this. All right. get to the last of it. I need something 11 3/4. Let me just, let's see here. All right, next one. Oh, look at that. There's always little ones on that we miss. Okay, let me just adjust the camera here. Sorry. Okay, next one. See if this fits. And it does. Okay, I got this piece on top. I gotta cut that. I think that's one of the last ones I need. Save your scraps, people. See, if I was an insulating contractor, it wouldn't be worth my time to save these things. Just got to finish the job, and that's it. But luckily, I'm not. Sometimes it just goes quick, sometimes it doesn't. All right, ladder time. Okay. Okay, next. Get tired, folks. Well, that's what happens when you don't have breakfast. What time is it? 2 o'clock. It's usually about the time I start to get hungry. My problem is, I've got a lot of them, but one of them is I don't have breakfast till about 2. Then I have a full meal, and then every 2-3 hours from then I have a full meal, which is why this does not compensate for this. But But despite the fact of my girth, I'm in relatively good health. It's a good thing. These will soon be going up. This is aluminum. These will soon be going up on the ceiling. Okay, folks. What's next? Let's find out. Ah, we got one up there. There's always one difficult one somewhere. All right. Up there. There we go. Another ladder trip. And we should have somewhere along here. One of these will work. I hope. Let's find out. Oh, that's a big one. I better get a larger panel. I went way too wide on that, but let's see. here, here. Okay. I'm gonna look around, but I think I'm pretty good with the installation, except for a couple of walls and stuff. And again, I'll use cans of spray foam for that. Ah, there's one. No, that one fell, so that one's okay. So this is good. That's good. Ah, I did miss one over here. Alrighty. Okay, that one just needs a brace over here on this side. I should say a wedge rather than a brace, but it's all the same thing. All right, folks. I'm almost done. I feel like I'm done, but there's always one more. And this one is going to be a pain because it's behind the wood that I got to move. And then I got that top little piece. So let's go ahead and knock those off, shall we? Because after this, I am definitely done. And all of this stuff goes into the shed. Or, well, whatever. Got to do a little bit of framing work later, but now all of this gets put away. Because I want this whole place neat as a button. Now, I don't know how many buttons are actually that neat, but tight as a button. Sewn like a button. Wow. Sometimes you gotta wonder about the terms that we all use. I'm gonna have to cut some. That is nowhere near the right amount. Oh, I know what I did. I included the furring strip. You know what? I'm gonna do this later because I have to build up that wall. It's the only wall that I haven't built up to 2.5 inches. So I'll do it a little later. I'm gonna clean up first. So, folks, thank you all for dropping by. Let me walk you around the mess before, and then so you guys can judge it after I clean it. Because this is the typical, when I'm done with the day, okay, so this is the, I gotta sneeze. Too much dust. Okay, so that's the entrance. Those sheets are for either ceiling or exterior, ceiling, and warehouse. So don't worry about those. All of this is, and this is a typical mess left afterwards. So I'm just gonna tackle cleaning everything. And all my garbage cans are full. Time to fill them up again. And then, so this is at the end of a day, or yesterday I hadn't cleaned up. So normally I clean up, and this is just a mess. But all the insulation is done. There's some more mess. There's stuff all out of place. There's a big pile of mess. This is all going to be neatened up. That's all going to be gone from here. I'm done with the plumbing, so I'm moving the plumbing to storage. The lights, I got to neaten them up, throw away the empty boxes. So I got a lot of stuff to do. I got my work cut out for me. And half these boxes are electrical and plumbing and stuff that frankly, And I can't get through here because I just put all the wood up here, which I got to get rid of. So that's the end of that, folks. Thank you all for joining me. Let me switch the camera setting here. And front camera. Oops. Sorry about that. Front camera. Mirror. And it's a cool day, but work is work. And we get hot with work. So you guys have a wonderful day. I will catch you on the next live. Or again, just so you guys, if you guys are wondering, I am filming everything. I do have raw footage of everything, but I've been so concentrated on the build that I haven't had a chance to edit anything. So occasionally I'll throw a time lapse or something like that your way. But when this is all over, I promise you, if I'm still living, I will be editing tons of footage and giving you from beginning to end a whole complete synopsis of the build of the one-man build. Thank you all for coming by. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to take a break, grab some breakfast, enjoy the day outside, and then come back and clean up for the day. After all, it is the weekend. Might as well take a little time for myself. Night all.